Bonjour class. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of new vocabulary for en ville. Donc, tournez à la page 4. So turn to page 4 in your handout. Our first vocabulary word is un endroit, and you need to fill in un endroit on page 4. That is a place. So répétez un endroit. Next we have un événement. That's an event. So répétez un événement. Next we have un concert. Répétez un concert. I think you can tell what that is, a concert. Next we have un film. We've seen this one before. This of course is a movie. So répétez un film. Next we have un match. We've seen this, un match de foot, un match de tennis. So répétez un match. That is a game. Next up, we have un pique-nique. You need to fill this one in on your sheet. Répétez un pique-nique. This is un rendez-vous. Répétez un rendez-vous. This is a meeting or appointment. We've also seen this one before. Next up are three words that we've seen before to mean a party. Une boum, so répétez une boum, une fête, et une soirée. Une soirée is an evening party. We've seen the word un soir for an evening or le soir for the evening. So une soirée would be an evening party, and you need to fill that one in on your sheet. Next up, we have three verbs, new verbs. They're all regular ER verbs, so they're conjugated the same as our other ER verbs. We drop the ER and add the different endings for the correct subject pronoun. Our first verb is arriver, and it is what it looks like to arrive or to come. So répétez arriver. Next up is rentrer, and it is what it looks like to re-enter, to go back, or to come back. So répétez rentrer. And lastly, we have rester, rester, to stay. So répétez rester. Here are some questions personnelles for you to ask yourself and to answer. So the first one is, répétez en général, à quelle heure est-ce que tu arrives à l'école? So what is that asking? In general, at what time is it that you arrive at school? So you would respond by saying, j'arrive à l'école à whatever time, à 8 heures, à 7h30. Numéro 2, à quelle heure est-ce que tu rentres à la maison? Se répéter à quelle heure est-ce que tu rentres à la maison? So what are we asking there? At what time is it that you come home or go back home? And you would respond by saying, je rentre à la maison à 4 heures, maybe. Numéro 3, répétez le week-end. Est-ce que tu restes à la maison? So what are we asking there? On the weekends, is it that you stay at home or at the house? So you might respond, oui, je reste à la maison. Or maybe you might respond, non, je ne reste pas à la maison. Okay, and finally, some expressions. Our first one is à pied, and you need to fill this one in on your sheet. À pied is by foot or on foot. So répétez à pied. Next we have à vélo, which is by bike or by bicycle. Répétez à vélo. Next we have en voiture. We've all seen the word voiture before. That's a car. So répétez en voiture. So this is by car. Next up we have en bus. You need to fill this one in on your sheet. So répétez en bus. by bus. We have en train, and a train is exactly what it looks like. It's a train. So répétez en train. That means by train. Next we have en métro. Répétez en métro. The métro in France is the subway. So that means by subway. And finally we have en taxi. Répétez en taxi. And that is by taxi, and you do need to fill that one in on your sheet. So using those, we can use some of those to say that we are going to faire une promenade. Faire, as we've seen before, is to do or to make. Une promenade, we've seen as like a walk around a park. But une promenade could also mean like a tour of something. So, for instance, you might faire une promenade à pied, to go for a walk on foot. You might faire une promenade à vélo, to go for a bike ride. Or you might faire une promenade en voiture, to go for a drive. So those are some uses of expressions that you can use with faire une promenade. Okay, so here's an activity we can do. It's called voyage. Your French friend is coming for a visit. She's flying into New York and wants to know how she can get to Dallas. So check the most logical forms of transportation. So looking at those, à vélo, en taxi, en avion, à pied, en métro, en bus, en voiture, en train, en bateau. À vélo we've seen is by bike, en taxi is by taxi, en avion, which we haven't seen before, that's by airplane. À pied is by foot, en métro by subway, en bus is by a bus, en voiture by car, en train by train, en bateau. Un bateau is a boat. So en bateau would be by boat. So one of our options might be en avion. Another one might be en bus. She might come en voiture. Or she might come en train. To come by train, to come by car, to arrive by bus, or to arrive en avion by airplane. Okay, and lastly, how do you get to these different places? Comment vas-tu? How do you go? So, how do you go à l'école? Comment vas-tu à l'école? You might say j'arrive en voiture or j'arrive en bus. Comment vas-tu chez ton ami? How do you go to your friend's house? J'arrive à pied. J'arrive en bus. Comment vas-tu au supermarché? En bus, à pied, en voiture. Comment vas-tu à l'aéroport? Peut-être en voiture, en taxi, en train. Et enfin, and finally, comment vas-tu à Paris? J'espère, I hope, en avion.